Yeah, well, we do have someone who has revolutionized medicine. He's got $1 trillion company. The only one, by the way, that is not into tech. It's David Ricks at Eli Lilly. David, congratulations on being over $1 trillion. What made you? How'd you get there?
Well, it's really been a story of innovation, and I think we're the only $1 trillion company east of the Mississippi, which is, the rest are tech companies. What did we do at Lilly? We sped up the R&D cycle, and we really bet on ideas that we think could scale and reach a lot of people. For a long time, the industry was focused on specialty medicine, small markets, orphan diseases. Right. We've done a bit of that in cancer, but mostly we focused on common diseases. And of course, the most common disease is obesity. So that's driven us to where we are. Now, we're focused on, of course, building out that market, adding even more innovation this year with potentially the launch of our oral later this year, as well as reading out the data set for the triple-acting, triple G, retatrutide. All that data will come in by mid-year. And at the same time, expanding our manufacturing footprint and investing in new innovation outside of obesity for the long term. So it's a really exciting time at Lilly, and the goal is not necessarily ever to just drive the market cap up, but to make great medicines that help millions and millions of people.
Of course. Now, I spoke with the CEO of Novo Nordisk. They talked about the first mover advantage for the pill and how doctors who prescribe a pill for Novo might be reluctant to just say, listen, it's time to switch to Lilly when yours comes due. Do you think there's a possibility that the first mover advantage can't be overcome?
Well, I think, of course, Novo had a first mover advantage in injectables as well. I think here that's probably missing the point. The thing that's very attractive about the orals, these aren't necessarily more effective medications. They're more accessible medications. And so having choice, and two will be great. Let's remember today in the U.S., there's maybe 120 million people who could benefit from these medications, and we're treating about 10 or 12. So we're about 10% in to the market. The real thing that orals will do, Novo's perhaps, but we think ours as well, is expand the reach of this class so more people can have access with their insurance, with self-pay options, or however they'd like to get it. And that's going to be market expansive, I think, over the next 3 to 4 years in a very significant way.
Injections require an injector. They require a cold. They require the ability to be able to get it to the patient and not having it spoiled. A pill once a day has got to be far more lucrative for Eli Lilly.
Well, yeah, margins are good. And, of course, the cost is in R&D. What we had to do, which is different from what Novo did, which repurposed its protein into an oral, we created a whole new molecule, which is using chemistry. And that's a difficult scientific feat, one I think no one else has done yet. But last year was important for the company to discharge the risk that can come with that, which is off-target safety events, et cetera. The Orphan program looks very clean. It's under review at the FDA, and we can scale it. So this points out another thing. Not only can it be a more convenient option in Europe and US, where we already have the injectables, but we can really reach the globe, low and middle-income countries, where maybe the first thing we don't think about is obesity, but it's a growing cause of diabetes and chronic disease in places like India, China, Brazil. So there was no way we can meet all that demand with injectable systems. The oral can reach these markets and really scale. In fact, we've already submitted in dozens of countries around the world just within weeks of our final data set reading out. So we're excited that this will be a year to introduce orforglipron, our oral, around the world and really scale that business, reach more patients with the GLP-1
Well,
mechanism.
I think the scale is really important. You have been busy building plants in this country. Yep. If there's a rollout, will you be able to meet the incredible worldwide demand with the plants that you've built in the last few years?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're very confident in supply. You may remember last year at this conference, there were like 3 big questions. Will the oral pill work? We just talked about that. The second one is, was there enough supply to grow the business? That was the gating factor on our growth in 2024. In 25, we solved that. The team executed incredibly. We have some of our new plants up and running, but actually the majority of that investment, $50 billion we put in the ground, is not online yet. So we have a lot more growth and supply ahead of us. I don't foresee any problems in the coming years with supply. And we have a pretty big lead over everyone else in terms of that capital base.
One thing you told me was there's a persistent issue that injectables, after 13 months, people get tired of ka-ching, ka-ching, but they may not get tired of the pill because they won't even notice they're taking it.
Yeah, and that's a third thing that's really important to talk about, which is the maintenance phase. So many people are able to, fortunately, with Zepbound, reach their weight loss goals within a year, year and a half. And then they want to graduate to something that may be more convenient, more familiar in terms of their regular morning routine. And that is a pill in that pill box, the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And orforglipron will fit right into that. And we produced some data in December, pretty compelling, that showed people who lost weight were able to keep it off, switching from either the competitor's product, semaglutide, or ours, versus just going cold turkey, which we know does not work for many people. For some it does, but you really have to change your lifestyle in a dramatic way. So this would be a great option for people to graduate from an injectable once they reach their weight loss goal to maintenance with an oral.
Amazing meeting last night between you and Jensen Huang. You've got a fantastic partnership, NVIDIA, Lilly. One of the things you discussed is there are things that are human nature, kind of wrong way human nature, that this can adjust. Opiates, which I start thinking about, fentanyl, smoking, drinking. Do you really see one day when this will affect those? Because if that's the case, maybe everyone should be on these.
Well, we hope so. Another theme here is new innovation coming from Lilly. So I talked about our triple-acting retatrutide, and interestingly here we get a glimpse of the future of development of this category of incretins or weight loss medications. In December, we read out our first study in that phase 3 program, which showed almost 29% weight loss. Incredible. But even more important, I think, was we demonstrated that for people with chronic knee pain and overweight, we had a dramatic effect on pain, much greater than commonly used pain medications. And so here we have an inflammatory system. We also read out a study of Zepbound plus our medicine Taltz in psoriatic arthritis. Guess what? When you go on Zepbound, it boosts the effect of that market-leading product in psoriatic arthritis. There's a whole series of studies in inflammation coming, and then as you're pointing out, in brain disease. We actually have a dedicated molecule called brenipatide that just entered phase 3. We're going to study in alcohol use disorder to begin with. Right. We're quite confident that these medicines work there because of all the anecdotal reports of limitation of drinking. Smoking cessation, we are going to take on opioid use disorder and even other brain diseases, like consider bipolar disorder and other neuropsych conditions that appear to be modulated by the same pathway.
One last question. Jensen Huang did raise an interesting question, which is that we have, say, alcoholism, want to go against smoking. What about workaholic? Can it go against something good?
So far, we haven't seen that. Actually, people feel often quite more energized. Their sleep quality goes up. So overall, as you know, we're indicated for sleep apnea. Overall, I think it's a positive for humanity. And what a great event that was last night with my friend Jensen Huang. Really, just to comment on that, really the first, I think, real effort where it's not just a press release.
Right.
But we're putting together dozens of computer scientists from NVIDIA, biologic and chemical scientists from Lilly in one place. We're bringing massive compute power. We're going to make new models to model the human biology and hopefully have some real breakthroughs in several years.
But that will be west of the Mississippi.
That will be here in the Bay Area. That's where tech is.
Fair enough.
Biotech is actually in Indianapolis.
Absolutely. Yep. Very exciting. David Ricks, CEO of Eli Lilly, remarkable trillion-dollar company based on much more than just GLP-1, a long history of innovation. Thank you. Thank you, David. And
Great
back
to be
to
with
you,
you, Jim.